What is silent small arms? Is it only the silencer that creates its low tone? And what are the best examples of such weapon in the world for now? You'll find out today. The thunderous nature of the weapon for centuries has been considered a positive quality that had a terrifying effect on the enemy, but in the 20th century the sound suddenly turned from an ally to a mortal enemy, especially for special units operating in the enemy's rear and at the front of the fight against terrorists. And here it is, the new formula for survival of the 21st century. If you don't want to be killed, then kill by yourself, quietly and accurately. Greetings, this is New Soldier. One of the valuable signs of the weapons today is its silence. Therefore we offer you the 6 most silent small arms. So, here we go. The specifics of carrying out covert operations by parts and units of special purpose largely depend on the suddenness and maximum disguise of the shooter. The use of firearms for these purposes hasn't always been convenient, as the sound and flame of a shot can often give out the shooter and lead to the most negative consequences. The silence of the shot has therefore always been a requirement for a special weapon. There were different ways to solve the problem. Thus, Russian and American engineers, for example, each went their own way. The Russian way. For a long time it was believed that pistols could be fired covertly only with the use of special devices, PBS. Silencers in the post-war history of silent weapons were attached to almost all samples of pistols and revolvers, simply inventing various and very interesting designs, which turned an ordinary pistol into a weapon for silent solution with a subtle motion of the hand. Solving the problem of silent work with the use of solutions that were unusual for weapons in the USSR began immediately in the late 50s, when it became clear that a silent weapon is an absolutely effective weapon for performing tasks of delicate nature. The C4M two-shot pistol was a striking example of the non-standard approach of the Russian gunsmith, which proved itself almost immediately, and its premiere took place in 1965. In C4M, the developers managed to make almost the impossible. This silent gun was made without a silencer and other massive devices capable of reducing the muzzle blast from the shot and the loud sound. Vasily Korshunov, a small arms operation engineer and veteran of Special Forces of Russia, thought about some features of the pistol in his interview to Zvezda TV channel. It is considered to be the first silent gun in the Russian range, completely silent in that it was created from scratch as such, but not adapted and not a gun for silent needs. This short Special Forces gun used to be called a grantom. Why then? Because thanks to the 2 barrels and 7.62mm caliber, the gun was supposed to be used to definitely hit the target from a distance of no more than 10-12 meters. The first shot was to hit the target, and the second shot was to hit the corner shot to the head. Special 7.62mm ammunition was made for this gun, which was very similar to that used in the modern analog. The ammo, in addition to its sound characteristics, also had good penetration features. Of course, the drawbacks were the reserve ammunition. There are only 2 barrels. It was necessary to have a very high qualification to work with such weapons and hit the target without fail. Taking into account all the positive features of the C4M pistol, in the late 1960s, the city of Tula produced a similar design, and still much more modern pistol, which was called a small special pistol, in Russian abbreviated MSP. As in the case of its predecessor, the MSP used a similar design to the C4M pistol, locking the barrel channels and the same layout as the 2 working barrels. The barrels on the gun were located similar to the Hunter Schofield, above each other. The new pistol turned out to be special in all senses, in design, ammunition, and in the degree of safety for the shooter. A rather unusual scheme certainly didn't take away the gun's efficiency. Despite the fact that the gun didn't take any automatics, it was possible to work with confidence, having the proper level of skill. The new 7.62mm SP3 ammunition was also developed for this gun, which allowed silent firing at distances up to 40 meters. In addition to the new ammunition, the pistols had 3 safety locks, which the special services call the ground proof. The first is the usual flag fuse, a little behind the trigger guard, the second and the third on the hammer. It's a pretty good solution, I must admit. Well, you can't figure out how to use it at once. Only people who knew how to work with it effectively could do it. So, in 1972, This gun was officially adopted by the KGB. I have never met any bad reviews about this gun among the former Chekists, said a gun expert and the head of the shooting club, Oleg Simonov, to the TV channel Zvezda. Have you ever held a C4M or an SME in your hands? What would you say about them? Tell us about in the comments, and we'll continue and move on to the American way. On the other side of the ocean, people have been making pistols with silencers and numerous silent firing devices since the early 50s. However, either because of the lack of experience on this subject or due to other circumstances, but the American School of Silent Weapons went a different way and focused on adapting conventional small arms to perform tasks of silent orientation. In the late 50s, for CIA operatives working mainly in Europe, was adopted the so-called sound moderator pistol, a set of equipment for silent firing, the Walter P38 pistol. For the late 60s, this set was quite good. Multi-chamber expansion type PBS, the attachment to the barrel for the PBS mounting. In such conversions, the pistol really looked smart. It fired discreetly and quite accurately, but with the 9.419 parabellum cartridge with a barley weight of more than 10 grams, it had insufficient penetration, which subsequently affected about 5 agents whose targets were not reached. First samples submitted to the US Special Operations Forces Command in the early 90s, as in the case of those produced in Russia in the cartridge gun complex, but following the chosen directions, Americans didn't dare to create silent ammunition separately and develop a weapon for them. Modernization of 9mm military pistols in the US implied the use of silencers in some form of modified ammunition and small rounds in the form of tactical units. Special Forces veteran Konstantin Kalanchin, in an interview with the Zvezda TV channel, shared some interesting facts about American silent weapons. Almost no one knows that the Americans had and still have very big problems with special equipment for special forces. The problem here isn't so much in the supply or availability of certain devices, but in the way they are designed and what superiority they really give on battlefield. The German USP pistols selected in 1995 for US Navy Special Forces began to give critical failures during first tests. It turned clogged and categorically didn't want to shoot right on the shooting range. It's said that after this incident, the vice president of Heckler Koch arrived and was called to the carpet to explain the situation. With the modern history of silent people, all the US Special Forces have the same situation. 95% of American pistols for Special Forces have the same childhood diseases as their usual relatives. According to the expert, this problem isn't solved in the US because there is no point in it. They'll have to recycle the entire structure. Therefore, the way the American engineers going is to use suppressors and silencers. As far as I know, they try to make analog to our weapons. C4M guns somehow came into the possession of the CIA, but they couldn't, they closed the program. A bit later they tried to copy our screw cutter, a weapon of another class, but the approach was the same. They released Macmillan CS5, but also a loss and a lag. Therefore, our weapon is ahead of other competitors in this respect, said Kalanchin. Russian silent weapons differ from foreign ones not only by its principles of operation, but also by its reliability. Special Forces veterans assure in their conversation that they wouldn't take foreign weapons on any task because they aren't sure of its stable operation. Silent pistols and their ammunition is another area of national weaponry that is being developed at a pace to be envied. Russian gun designers still make special silent weapons, which still cannot be created by any other country. Would you say these are pretentious patriotic words? Well, so, they however contain the truth. Do you want to argue about it? You're welcome. Put your ideas in the comments below. We'll continue and move on our top 6 silent small arms. So, De Lisle Commando Cabin Magazine Cabin, UK. William Godfrey De Lisle was fond of weapons since the age of 16, and by the beginning of the Second World War he worked in the Ministry of Aviation. His useful fantasy and practical experience gave excellent results. The sound of the shot of his brainchild was not heard even at night, with a range of up to 250 meters. According to eyewitnesses, the loudest sound source was a firing pin strike on the cartridge capsule. In order not to give away his location, the shooter had to ensure that the target was hit from the first shot. De Lisle was the best in almost all comparative characteristics: the degree of the sound suppression, grouping, the accuracy of the firing. No wonder he got a job in the jungle of Southeast Asia. Soon after the war, many of the lethal was destroyed. The authorities feared that they would lose control and the weapons could fall into the hands of criminals. 9mm Weller Mk1 silent pistol, UK. The superiority of its enemy in 1940 forced Great Britain to change the tactics of fighting with Germany. Direct clashes between regular units didn't bode well, while sabotage operations in the enemy's rear required special-purpose weapons. 1942, one of the most effective pistols of the Second World War, the 9mm Weller Mk1 silent pistol was created in a laboratory located in London. Integrated silence eliminated mechanical sounds at the moment of firing and after it. Aiming at night was helped by glowing dots in sights and on the front barrel sight. The pistol was designed to be fired by an experienced shooter at a distance of up to 45 meters during the day and up to 18 meters at night, and at longer ranges it was found ineffective. The weapon was used during classified operations in Laos, Cambodia and North Vietnam. Mark III Model 0 Pistol, USA. In the 1960s, USA set similar task to develop silent pistols using powerful ammunition. In 1972, such a device was patented and soon adopted by the US under the name Mark III Model 0. The key objective of the project was to create a universal waterproof silencer that the combat swimmer could use not only underwater but also immediately after landing. If the gun and the silencer were transported separately by the swimmer, the chase was sealed with a rubber cap. The silencer successfully fulfilled its intended purpose, but it was subject to repeat wear and tear and had a service life of only 30 shots. MP5SD submachine gun, Germany. The Helen Koch company created the 9mm MP5 submachine gun, which won fame and commercial success. The model line-up included silent models with SD index, equipped with an integrated silencer. In the 1960s, the company quickly became popular in the domestic market among the police, the German bodyguard, and GSG 9 counterterrorism group. Soon MP5 was being purchased by other countries. In 1981, a German pistol was used during a special operation to free the Iranian embassy in London. Now, its modifications are used by special units of more than 30 countries, and China produces an unlicensed copy of Narinka and RO8. PSS silent self-loading pistol, Wool, USSR. In the USSR, the creation of special-purpose weapons was conducted in complete secrecy. In practice, there was no urgent need in such weapons. Nevertheless, in 1983, special self-loading pistol, AK Wool, was adopted for service. The sound level of the PSS shot is between the 4.5mm air rifle shot and hand clap. Considering the purpose of the weapon, silent destruction of the enemy at short distances, the gun was quite compact and could easily fit in a coat pocket. The production of the PSS was entrusted to the Tula Arms plant. The cartridges were made of hard alloy, with a brass leading belt at the front and small recess at the rear. Heavy body from a distance of 20 meters pierced through a steel helmet and from 30 meters steel sheet 5mm thick. CZ-91S Scorpion silent pistol, Czechoslovakia. In the 1990s, the utility of silent weapons was also recognized by the Česká Zbrojovka arms company from Uherský Brod. It was there that the self-loading silent pistol with 9.419 per barrel cartridge was created. The pistol was conceived to defeat the enemy in tight close combat conditions in local conflicts in urban areas. In 1994 in Paris, at the site of the contact murder of Russian businessman Sergei Masharov, a Scorpion was found. Today, CZ-91S is in service in the Czech Republic and Slovakia, as well as in the personal collection of world leaders, former US President George Bush, King of Jordan and King of Bahrain. That's where our top 6 comes to the end. If you think that we inadvertently miss the worst samples of weapons, then mention them in comments below the video. Don't forget to like the video and make sure to subscribe to the channel in order not to miss the newest episode on New Soldier. See you later.